Good afternoon. Today the class will be on banking. First of all, why there are banks in the country? Why there are banks in the country? There are umpteen number of banks: private sector banks, public sector banks, high-tech banks, scheduled commercial banks, nationalized banks, state bank group. There are a variety of banks in the country functioning. What for? Why there are banks? That is what we are going to discuss today. First of all, I'll give you an example. You know what do you mean by surplus generating units and deficit making units? In any society, in any economy, the people of the country will be of only two types. One is surplus generating and another one is deficit making. What do you mean by deficit making or surplus generating unit? I'll tell you. I earn a monthly income of say 30k. I spend about 25k in a month and I am left with a surplus of 5,000 rupees in a particular month. There is a man living nearby, or you take it is my neighbor. He also earns 30k. But he spends 35k. As a result, he is left with a deficit of 5,000 rupees. Now, even without saying, you will understand, this gentleman will like to borrow to offset the deficit. To offset the deficit of 5,000 rupees, the tendency of this particular gentleman will be to borrow 5,000 rupees from somebody or somewhere. Okay? Naturally, the same way, I am left with a surplus of 5k. I would like to invest this money somewhere. Unfortunately, I do not know a man is living nearby who wants 5,000 rupees or who is in need of 5,000 rupees. The same way, this man lives in my vicinity or neighborhood. He does not know I am living close by with a surplus of say 5,000 rupees. Okay? So, under this situation or in this scenario, how do you think money will flow from me to the other gentleman? The nature of money or the fundamental characteristic of money, you know what it is? You know, where from air flows, where from water flows, where from electricity flows. Water flows from a place where the kinetic energy or potential energy is higher. From a place where the potential and kinetic energy of water is higher, it flows from that place to a place where these are in a lower rate. These two energies are in a lower rate. The same way, money should also flow from a place where it is in surplus to a place where it is needed or where there is a deficit. Okay, air flows from a place where the intensity of air is higher or density of air is higher to a place where it is lower. The same way, money is to flow. It should not be idle. It should not stay in one place. It has to move from one place to another. Okay, so now, how do you think money will flow from me to the other man? How do you think money will flow from me to the other man? There is no way, because we do not know each other. In this situation, if there is an agent, if there is an agency who can facilitate flow of money from me to the other man, it would be ideal. Such an ideal agency is called the bank. Such an ideal agency is called the bank. If a bank is there in my neighborhood, in my area, what I will do? I will make a deposit of my surplus 5,000 in the bank, where from this gentleman will borrow. I will make a deposit and this man will borrow. This is how. Okay. This is how money flows from one place to another. To facilitate flow of money from one place to another, you have to have a bank in the system. When I tell you a small example like 5,000 rupees, probably you may not understand the power of a bank. Now I'll give you a better example. See, just go back to 1947. On this particular date, 15th August 1947, what was the economic status or the financial status of the country? The country was left with nothing. The country did not have any money at all. The foreign rulers, the Britishers, when they left the country, they left you without giving you a single naya price. Like that, they left you. From that situation, how did the country was able to recover to the present state of development? Now we'll see. In 1947, when the first Indian government was formed under the leadership of Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru, he had a lot of problems, some issues, some major issues he had. One was poverty. Number two was unemployment. Okay. Number three, population. Okay. These are the major issues when Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru wanted to form the first Indian ministry. He was facing all these problems. You know, why poverty? Poverty is a child of unemployment. Unemployment is the product of population. India was, or even today, India is the thickly populated, one of the thickly populated nations in the world. Okay, the average size of an Indian family in 1947 was anywhere between 6 and 8. You know, unemployment. Why unemployment? Why unemployment? Unemployment was because a majority of the people of the country, a vast majority, or almost 75 to 80% of the people of India were predominantly dependent on the agricultural sector. You know what is wrong if someone or the people of the country depend on this agricultural sector? What is wrong with it? The agricultural sector in India has a peculiar characteristic. In a year, a farmer or an agriculturalist will not have work beyond 5 months. He will not have any work beyond 5 months in a year. That means the breadwinner of the family or the head of the family or the male of the family will work as an agricultural labor for 5 months, and whatever that he is able to earn in 5 months, the entire family of 6 or 8 will eat it away for 12 months. So naturally, after the 5th month, the family is going to be poverty stricken. The family is going to be poverty stricken, as a result of which the entire nation is stricken, poverty stricken. That is what is happening, that is what was happening in 1947. So the agricultural sector was the main culprit for unemployment. Agricultural dependence, too much of dependence on the agricultural sector rendered the people of the country unemployed for 7 months in a year. So naturally, the Indian society is poverty stricken, and Government of India, lack of education, that was another problem. Education was another. People were illiterates. People were illiterates. People of the country were illiterates. Now, there were 4 problems: illiteracy, population, poverty, unemployment. Nehru or his ministry or cabinet had to handle all these issues or address all these issues one by one. Okay, what can you do for alleviating illiteracy or do away with illiteracy from the society? What you can do? Nehru promptly considered promoting education. By promoting education, you can take care of this issue, illiteracy. Illiteracy can be addressed very easily, which the government considered, number 1. Number 2, by taking certain result-oriented steps, the government was able to control population explosion also. Population control was also taken care in a good way or better way. And unemployment, what are you going to do for unemployment? Now you have identified unemployment is the product of dependency of the people of the country on agricultural sector. Now what are you going to do away this unemployment problem? Tell me. Any suggestion? Can you tell me any idea? Yeah, you're right. See, the dependence of a majority of the people on this particular sector, agricultural sector, is to be done away with. You should not, in other words, you should not depend on the agricultural sector in a larger way. Then what else you can do? You can shift from the agricultural sector to some other sector called the industrial sector. Industrial sector. Okay. Now, if you promote industries, if you develop industries in the country, probably your people will shift from the agricultural sector to industrial sector. The main characteristic of industrial sector is this sector is able to provide employment throughout the year. Unlike your agricultural sector where one can work only for 5 months, this industrial sector can provide you employment or can generate employment for people throughout the year. Right? So it is better. The ministry under Nehru thought it is better to shift a majority of the people from the agricultural sector to the industrial sector. Okay. Now, if industrial sector in the country is taken care, if population is controlled, if education is promoted, naturally unemployment will be going away, or it will be done away with, or it will be chased away from the society. With the result, poverty can also be taken care. If you address one issue, As a cascading effect, every other issue will also be addressed, and finally the country will start prosper. That is what is the idea. So now we'll come to this concept, industrialization. You have to industrialize your country. You have to industrialize your country. How will you do that? Industrialization is not an ordinary industrialization. A rapid industrialization, a fast industrialization was required in 1947. For promoting industries, what are all the factors that are required? Suppose you are a graduate, you are an engineering graduate, you want to promote your own company, you want to put up an industry. What are all the factors that are required for promoting or setting up or establishing a factory or industry? Number one, you need material. Number two, men. Number three, land. And number four is capital. These are called the factors of production. These four are called factors of production. If you want to produce something in the country, you need some material, some men, land and capital. If you have all the four, then only you can put up any industry. For putting up any industry, you need all the four. Okay. In India in 1947, was material available? Okay, to an extent, material was available in India. Okay, this was available. The country was thickly populated one, so manpower was also available in abundance, and land that was also available, but capital was in acute short supply. There was no money in the country in 1947, as I already told you at the beginning of the class. The Britishers, when they left the country, your Khajana was empty. So, in 1947, when Nehru wanted to undertake industrialization of the nation, he was facing this problem, lack of capital. Capital was not available. Then, how will you bring capital? Somehow or other, you have to bring capital. If capital comes, all the other three are available, you can go for industrialization of the nation. Okay? Now, what is your suggestion? How you can bring capital in the country? 30 minutes? How much time? 70. 70. So, how are you going to bring this capital into the country? Your country did not have any capital. But it's 30 minutes you told. 30 minutes. Now, I told you, the country did not have any capital. The country did not have any capital. I never told you the people of the country did not have any surplus or savings with them. People of the country had a lot of surpluses, savings. The people of the country had a lot of savings and surpluses with them. If there is going to be an agency, if an agency is there, if an agent is there, if someone is there who is capable of mobilizing the surpluses that are available with the people, it is considered good. So it is here the concept of banking. Don't think banks were developed or banks were established or banks were formed only in 1947 in the country. No. What is the origin of banking? How long the concept of banking is there in the world? You know any idea? You have any idea? How long the concept of banking is being practiced elsewhere in the world? Any idea? How old is banking? the concept of banking. How old is he? Is it? You know, who is this man? Who is this man? You know, you have studied about him in your lower standards, say in the 5th standard or 6th standard. In your Tamil or English or in your mother tongue, you must have studied about this man, Chanakya. Chanakya was the minister, the advisor of Chandragupta Maurya I. He was the minister and advisor of Chandragupta Maurya. He has written a book. He has written a book. You know what is the name of the book? The name of the book he has written is Arthashastra. In Arthashastra, Chanakya has mentioned a lot about banking. He has mentioned a lot about banking in his Arthashastra. Thereby you can conclude banking is almost 2000 years old. Banking is 2000 or even 3000 year old. The practice of banking was followed in India 2000 years ago. It was not, it cannot be said banking was practiced or banking, the concept of banking or the banks were established in India only in 1947. No, it is not so. Even prior to our independence, banks were there. In 1947, the idea of strengthening the banking, concept of banking or the banking network, strengthening of the banking network started gaining momentum in the year 1947. Okay, now for industrialization, a lot of capital was required, I told you. How the capital can come? How the government can bring the capital for undertaking industrialization? Any idea you have? See, what is the revenue for any government? The fundamental or principal revenue for any government is number one, tax. Tax is number one. The first and foremost revenue for any government is the collection of tax, the tax revenue. Okay, the direct tax, indirect tax, all those tax that are collected by your state governments, the central governments, everything comes here as capital. It is the capital for the government. Number two, you know anything about the Provident Fund? You know anything about Provident Fund? Have you heard of? If you are employed, probably you must know, or if your mother or father, some elderly people at home, if they are employed, you must know what Provident Fund is. Provident Fund is something, an employee, anybody who is employed in the country as a mandatory step, or mandatorily, anybody who is employed in the country is supposed to save 10% of his basic salary. Suppose you are working for a company, whether it's a private company or a public company, whether you are a bank employee or insurance company employee or any other employee, that doesn't matter. If you are employed, you have to save 10% of the basic salary every month. Suppose your basic salary is 20,000 rupees. Your basic salary, if it is 20,000 rupees, mandatorily you need to save 2,000 rupees every month. That goes to your Provident Fund account. And your employee will also contribute a like sum of 2,000 to your account. Every month you will be saving 4,000 rupees. Every month, if your salary, basic salary is 20,000 rupees, you will save 4,000 rupees to your Provident Fund account. This 4,000, how long you are going to save? In a month, it is 4,000. In 1 year, it is this much. Suppose you are working for the company, or if your economic life is 35 years or 30 years, you are going to save it for the next 35 years. This much is the amount you are going to save through your service period. This amount plus the interest thereon. The interest at the prevailing rate of interest that is allowed or permitted in this scheme, the Provident Fund scheme, the interest you are going to get, the principal and the interest you are going to receive when are you going to receive the money? The day on which you are going to retire. When you attain the age of superannuation, you are going to get back your principal plus interest thereon. This sum of money is coming here every month for the capital formation of the government. Get the point? Probably, if your basic salary is 20,000 rupees, you are earning 4,000 rupees per month. When you retire, probably you might get 15 lakh rupees or 20 lakh rupees. Anywhere between 15 to 20 lakh you are going to get as a lump sum on the date of your retirement. So, the third item is called the gratuity fund. What is gratuity fund? Gratuity fund is a fund that is created by your employer. When you retire at the age of 58 or 59 or 60, depending upon the superannuation policy of your company, okay, if you are going to retire at the age of 60, your employer is going to give you a lump sum amount almost equal to your Provident Fund accumulation. If you are getting 15 lakh as Provident Fund, another 10 to 15 lakh you will receive from your employer in the name of gratuity fund. That also you are going to receive. In order to pay you 15 lakh or 20 lakh, after 30 years or 35 years, your employer starts saving some small sums of money the day you join the service of the company. Right from day one. The day you join the service of the company, your employer starts saving small sums of money so that it becomes 15 lakh or 18 lakh or 20 lakh depending upon the policy of the company. Okay? When you retire at the age of 60. Okay? This sum of money is also coming to the government for capital, towards capital. And the fourth item is the pension. Pension fund. Okay, what is pension fund? What is pension first of all? As long as you are working for the company, you are getting your salary, your remuneration you are getting every month. But suppose you are retiring in the month of say December 2015 for a man who was all along drawing 40,000 rupees. Who was all along drawing a net salary of 40,000 rupees till the month of December 2015. If he is going to retire on 31st December 2015, what will happen? He will be left with no income. He will be left with no income from the month of January. All along I was leading a life with my 40,000 rupees. Suddenly if I retire, I will not get any salary from the month of January. Then what standard of life I will be able to maintain after my retirement? I have to have a regular income with which I will be able to run my family even in my post-retired life. So, in order to provide you something in the name of pension, your employer gives you some amount. It is, when you work it out, it can be a percentage of the last paid drawn. Suppose your last paid drawn is 20 seconds. Okay.